I've gone to school, I've taken marketing courses, I've done all of those things. I actually took one recently in a university. And then it's so easy, like you're like, oh, you do all of these things that, and then you market yourself, and that's how it is. But it's about human emotions, it's about connecting with people. And that part, just putting myself out there. When you are in a company, I always had boss most of the times. I had bosses very supportive of me that like promoted me for me, or like, when you're in a big company, people cannot tell you what to do, and it's not always a bad thing. They're like, oh, here's your development plan. We want you to go on these trainings. It would be great to put you in front of these people. And it just like happens. And all of a sudden, I wanted to do that for myself, but then I got to do it. And I was like, wow, it's scary. I need to introduce myself now. I don't have anything to hide behind.
If you want to make more sales without the pressure to post on social media, I made this podcast specifically for you. I'm Leslie Stevens, and this is the Not an Influencer, an Impact Maker podcast, where we talk about other organic marketing strategies to bring more clients into your online business and the stories of the incredible entrepreneurs who are using these strategies in their businesses every day to create success. You do not have to be an influencer to be an impact maker and build a successful online business. You are in for such a great conversation. Today we have Xandra. Xandra, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Yes, of course. My name is Zandra Bonnick, and I started Bonnick Consultancy after I got married, and it's all about helping entrepreneurs with their financial journey. I have worked in finance for most of my life, mostly in hotels, and I realized, especially for female entrepreneurs, it's a lot of fear around their money. You see a lot of entrepreneurs online sharing their crazy 6-7 figure, and I mean crazy in a good way, right? Income, because I think it's amazing what we can do nowadays. However, many of them are actually still struggling and not making a profit. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to share. And that's what I help them strategize so they can live a life that is also like giving more than it's taking, and actually a profitable business.
And that's so important. And I love that you kind of brought that to light, that yes, you can create this huge income and people love to celebrate that online. But the reality of it is sometimes those people aren't making a profit. So what you do is incredibly important. How did you get started and really take that first step in starting your own consultancy?
It was so funny. When I was younger, I never thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was like, no, I want to work for these big companies, and that's security, and that's all I want to do, right? And then I actually worked for like some 5-star hotels. I was their senior director of finance, and you know, good and bad. Like I loved a lot of things of it, but it was also doing business on someone else's terms, right? And then COVID hit, and I lived in the Bay Area at the time. And I'm originally Swedish, and I transferred to the Bay Area from London, where I worked for many years in finance as well. And I lost my job, to be completely honest. Like, especially the Bay Area just closed pretty much all of the hotels, everything closed down. Because of my work permit and stuff renewal, I couldn't work for a year, and it was very difficult. And then I started working for an entrepreneur, actually. And what I loved about it was entrepreneurs are so passionate about their business. It not that people in their normal jobs aren't, but it's really like what they live for, and they have such a passion for what they do. And so that's kind of how I started. Like, of course I was an employee there, but it was more, I was like, oh, I can really help entrepreneurs, because when you work for a big company, I was very lucky. I got so much management training, they trained me in a lot of skills, right? And as entrepreneurs, we don't always have that. We kind of just, we're good at the thing you do, but you're not necessarily like good at everything else, which is fine. Like that's why we have each other, right? So that's how it got started. And I actually didn't start it until last year properly, when after I had my son, which was a very difficult time for me. I didn't have an easy pregnancy. I had gestational diabetes with insulin. and I'm afraid of needles. So my husband always needed to like give it to me at night because I only needed it once a night and I couldn't even look,
Mhm.
which is another thing. My mom just said I'm silly. She's like, it's barely a needle. And it's like, I actually had a easy birth, but I had a difficult postpartum. I got very sick. I was hospitalized. Bit of postpartum depression because of like the doctors didn't know what was wrong with me at first. It was just like a lot of things, and I after that I just really wanted to do, first of all, for my son, but also for myself. Wanted to really share what I'm good at, and really live my life my way, if that makes sense. Like really do what I want to do. So my company is very new, but and I also, even in corporate, when I had trainings and trained the other managers in finance, like that's what I like the best. And yeah, so that's how I got going. I think I over, like when he was 3 months old, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this to tons of percent. No, I wasn't. I was not ready. But that's how I got started. That's how it came from. I really want to live my life to my potential, do what I really feel passionate about. I want my son to see me do that as well. So yeah, that's how I got started.
Oh, that's such like an amazing kind of like progression into where you're at right now. And I love how these beautiful things can be born out of like the toughest moments that we go through and being like, you know what? This is my opportunity for me to do something that I love and then lead my family by example. So I think that's incredibly beautiful that you were able to do that with those things going on in your life. And I'm also very appreciative that you mentioned like it wasn't 110% from the very beginning. Put your head down, ignore everything else like you see online. It's like just put your head down and disappear for 5 years and then you've created this big thing. It's like, no, the reality of it is most of us need to be able to build a business that works with our life. We
Mhm.
can't just turn our lives off and push our responsibilities to the side. Most of the time, these come out of having more responsibilities that we want to show up for. So, in the process of building your business, what like unexpected positive opportunities have you come across since now you're the one in charge of what you do?
Oh, I definitely think, which by the way, this was not, I have very like a personality before, and postpartum, that was not, even my OB told me, she's like, this is going to be your biggest challenge. You're not in control of everything. And I'm like, thinking, yes, that's true. I think, first of all, I was worried people were not going to be supportive, like people in my life.
Mhm.
I definitely feel like they have been. They were, I met so many amazing people online, actually, so many other amazing entrepreneurs. And we just moved to Chicago. We actually moved to Chicago. Well, it's not just anymore. It's almost a year ago, but it feels like that. We moved with my in November last year, and I feel like most of my friends are online because
Mhm.
like I just met so many amazing entrepreneurs online. So I think that is like, you just really need to reach out to them and get to know them. And I was surprised over how many amazing people I met that are like, I don't want to give too much away, but one of them I met, we're working on a collab at the moment. But we haven't really, so we're not ready to share that. But that was such amazing because she's like great in marketing and sales, also a mom, very supportive of other moms. And I do the finance side, and we're like, great, this is how we can help new entrepreneurs. This is how we can do different things. And even like family members, like actually there was my first client was one of my in-laws, because
Uh-huh.
she didn't even know we needed it. And then I was like, I can do these things for you, right? And she was like, can you? And I was like, yeah. And so I think it's like the sharing part, which has probably been the hardest part for me. I still don't think it's easy showing up online and be vulnerable, but I you have so many opportunities when you do. Like really, people that you're like right next to might need you, and If
Mm-hmm.
they share it, they don't even know that it's an option.
Mm-hmm. That's so, like I love that so much. Like when people come and they're like, "Oh, I was so nervous about telling people." Like it's hard to be like, "I'm starting a business. This is what I do. I can actually help you," because you are being vulnerable. You're putting yourself in the position to get a no or say, "I don't need that right now," or "It's not the right fit to work with you." And it's hard to put yourself out there in those positions. And that's another one of the things that you see online a lot. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter what your haters say, or it doesn't matter like if nobody supports you. But most entrepreneurs that I've talked to are like so pleasantly surprised by the amount of people that actually want to support them.
Hmm.
Like it's we expect people to push back because of kind of the hesitations that we have when we're getting started, and we assume other people are going to have the same hesitations about us doing these things. But more likely than not, I'm noticing that other people really want to help you. You have to just take the first step, and they'll take a step back and be like, "Oh, I can support you, or I can help you, or we can work together, or that's amazing. What can I do? Like, can I refer you to someone?" Like, just putting yourself out there, taking that first scary step. You aren't always going to get yeses. You're not always going to get these raving fans that are like, "Yeah, go you. You're doing amazing." But you will get the right people supporting you and the right people in your corner. And there are an incredible amount of people online that you can connect with, and you can build this community around you where you have people that you can go to when you have questions, or when you have hesitations, or when you have a bad day and you're like, "Oh, this is so hard. I want to quit. Who can I talk to?" kind of thing. You can build that for yourself, even if the people closest to you aren't fully supportive. But I'm so glad that that was such a positive for you, that you got to experience that in the beginning of your business. So, when you got started, were there any barriers that you faced that you kind of just weren't expecting to come across?
Ooh, good question. I actually think the vulnerability thing was, I think I'm pretty good in person one on one. And then I, for some reason, felt like the same thing doing it like online made me feel very vulnerable. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm still struggling with it. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm over it. But the thing is, what my coach kept telling me is like, who do you buy from? I buy from the people I trust that are showing vulnerability. That I'm like, oh wow, they really understand where I'm coming from. And I have taken, I've gone to school, I've taken marketing courses, I've done all of those things. I actually took one recently on a university, and then it's so easy, like you're like, oh, you do all of these things depth, and then you market yourself, and that's how it is. But it's about human emotions, it's about connecting with people, and that part, just putting myself out there. When you are in a company, I always had boss, most of the times I had bosses very supportive of me, that like promoted me for me, or like, when you're in a big company, people cannot tell you what to do, and it's not always a bad thing. They're like, oh, here's your development plan, we want you to go on these trainings, it would be great to put you in front of these people, and it just like happens. And all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, I wanted to do that for myself, but then I got to do it, and I was like, wow, it's scary. I need to introduce myself now. I don't have anything to hide behind. And one of the things I kept saying was, I sometimes I'm nervous to, say, do not doing enough for my client, right? Like, I'm not performing enough, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing enough. But the funny thing is, like, most of the finances that I would look at now for clients, like, they're way easier than I used to do. And I mean it in a way, like, especially it's a lot of coaching, it's a lot of this. Well, one of them, once I have, she has a pretty complex invoicing because of the services she provides. But apart from that, it's not in a hotel. We have like a spa, we have three, four different restaurants, we have all of that. So it's very complex financing, and everything interlinks, and it's a lot more money. But it's because, this is this person's livelihood, this is this you almost feel responsible. I'm like, I really want to perform to you. I really want you to be successful. So that was more, I was like, this is easier job wise, but it was scarier because
Mm-hmm.
I really, I felt so much more responsible somehow. It's
Yeah.
weird to explain.
But it's a huge thing that comes with having your own business and being the person who's there to support them. Like, you're taking on that responsibility. You're the one showing up for them and supporting them. And it is something that you can gain your confidence in. It's not something that happens overnight. And I think that means such a good thing. I know that it's unexpected and it's difficult. And I've been through the same process where I'm like, this isn't necessarily a complicated job,
Hmm.
but I'm the person here to support this person with this thing that can change their entire life. And you put that pressure on yourself, and then over time I feel like you start to gain that confidence with, like, okay, I am the one who can help them change their life with this thing that they're doing. I am the one who can support them. And in the beginning, it's okay to feel that pressure. It's a good thing. It means you care. It means you're doing the right thing, because I think when you care that much, it's really showing the client, the people that you're working with, the people that you want to support, that, like, hey, you're all in this. You're not trying to push the responsibility off on somebody else. You're not trying to say, oh, it's just with the company, it's not on me.
Yeah.
It's like, this is on me. I can do this. I can support you. And building that trust in yourself just comes with time.
I
And
think it's like, being a mom. It's like if you're worried about being a good mom, it means like you really care.
exactly. Exactly. That's like the perfect comparison, because that also encourages you to grow. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, you have to be constantly growing and learning and adapting to all of these different things, because you do have to be the one to put yourself out there. You
Hmm.
do have to be the one to decide, hey, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to do my job, because there's nobody else here saying that, hey, this is the task that you have to do today. You're the one who's in charge of all of these things, of showing up for your clients, showing up for yourself, showing up for your family. That is now on you. And that responsibility is something that you should really care about that deeply. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, for somebody else who's kind of in that point in their business right now where they're nervous or they're feeling that heavy weight of that responsibility, how would you encourage them to move forward?
I think the biggest mistake I did, or not just with this in my life, is like you think you need to do it all at once, you know? And you think that it's all the big moves, it's all the big, but it's not. It's like the small things you do every day, the small things and it's the same with your clients. I thought, like I said, I always thought like, oh, it's like when I sometimes compare finances to weight loss. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go on this extreme diet and I'm gonna do all of this. And you know how you are a week in, you're like, oh my God, I'm so deprived and now I'm sitting here with my chocolate. And I just helped one of my clients last month, and she's the one that has very complex invoicing. And it took me a while, but it wasn't hard for me. It was just like a spreadsheet that had been messed up, right? So it takes time to sort it out. And she was like, oh my God, I never knew these mistakes were happening. For me, it wasn't a big thing, but for her, it saves her so much time. I'm going to help her moving forward. But just those things, she was like, I have sat with this for hours and now you fixed it. And it was still wrong. And now you fixed it. And now we're moving here. And I think for most people, it's just you are not there to change their whole life, right? That's on them. And I mean that
Mm-hmm.
in the nicest way. It is on them, but I think the things we really remember are like the small stuff that makes your life easier every day. That's what you're there to do. Like if you're you know, a health coach and you get people to find a way of eating that works better for them. Like it might not, it's probably something you've done several times, but for them it's life changing. And it's not a
Mm-hmm.
huge, it's like, I had like a dietitian, and she's like, Sandra, if you just change that for breakfast, like this and these things will happen. And I was like, oh my God, it was such an easy fix, right? But I didn't think about it. And it's the same with these things. Like, I just need to help them think differently and one thing at a time. It's not like, here is all of my finances, here is all of this, here's all of that. Now it's going to be different when you wake up tomorrow. No, it's like steps we're taking every day that are just leading that way. And I think it's easier to manage that way. It's like just one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm. And I'm reading this incredible book that's all about what you just said, and it's called The Edge Effect. And it's
Ooh.
about those things that you do every single day that are easy to do, but since they're easy to do, they're also easy enough to not do. And it's showing up and it's doing those things daily that create the results. And I think we're very much in a world right now where we expect overnight results, and we want these, what do they call them, quantum leaps, and we want these overnight successes, and we don't leave space for that middle, for the seeds we plant to cultivate into the success we really want to create. And we aren't here, like you said, to change the other person's life. We're here to provide them with the knowledge and support that they need to get out from wherever they are right now and get them to where they want to be. But it's up to them to do the things that they need to do. We're just meant to be the guide, and it's not about us.
No.
And I think that takes a lot of pressure off of some of that responsibility we take on. That's very natural to take on. But when you remember, it's not about you, it's about them, it's about supporting them and just giving them the tools that they need, or setting them up with the spreadsheet and finding those mistakes for them so that they can move forward with more ease, or have the support that they need in place to move forward to their next stage. That is what we're here for. And I think that allows you to move forward with such, I don't want to say ease, because not everything we do is easy, but more flow. I
Mm-hmm.
think you're able to move forward when you see your next step. Instead of trying to take that giant leap or wait for that huge life transformation that we are hoping is going to happen the next day that we wake up, it's just putting one foot in front of the other and knowing that the steps you're taking are going to get you to where you want to go. Like you said, just changing that one thing for breakfast can change so much. You just needed somebody to come in and bring that to light, which is,
Exactly. And another thing I wanted to add, sorry if I cut you off. Another thing I wanted to add was just like, if we think we're going to change their life, it's like we're taking their power away from them.
mm-hmm.
And they are the CEO of their business. They are running their lives regardless of whatever business you're running. But we are just there to show them how to do it, because they get more power if they are the ones, leading it. If we're coming in there, that's not, God, now I'm not sure how I wanted to word this, but pretty much we want to give them power, not taking it away.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I talk about that through every step of the sales process when I talk about everything from your advertising, marketing, branding, all of those. The whole point of all of those things that come even before the sale, you are empowering the person on the other side to make the best decision for themselves. And then when you come in with your offer and provide your service or your product, that is meant to, again, support them and empower them to get to where they want to be, because we're here to create a result. We're here to support them through a process. That's the whole point of having a product or service, to help somebody do something or solve a problem. And it's in that empowerment of giving them either the tools or the systems or fixing things for them that allows them to then take that power and continue to create whatever they want to create. So that is such a good point to make. Now, if somebody was just thinking about starting a business, what is the number one thing that you would tell them to focus on right now?
Ooh, that is a great question. I would say get very clear of what you want out of it, and because mistakes, some of them I've done, some I've seen others do, is that it's kind of like, let's just throw everything everywhere. So either they work like crazy, and I work with someone right now, his business has been running for almost 15 years, and it's still like working crazy hours, And so first of all, be like, how does your life, how do you want your life to look? And how can your business support that? That can go from, this is the type of services I want to provide. What can I charge for that? And also, is that going to be enough money? Like really look at the big picture before you nail it down. Because it's very easy to just start it and I just want to make money. I see too many people that then it oh, and that's also going to give you clarity where you want to invest in support. I'm all for investing in support. I really am. I am also the first person to admit, postpartum, me who has always been 100% on top of my finances, and felt lost, I overspend in support. And not that any of them were bad. I'm not going to say that. I was just not, they were not all right for me. And people are going to try to sell to you as soon as you start a business, and that is fine. But you want the clarity before you go into it to be like, that this is the support I need. It might be a little bit of trial and error. We have all been there, right? But
Mm-hmm.
not, when you go in with clarity, it's easier to sell. It's easier to buy support or get support. It's easier to just know, like, this is what I want, and say no to other things. Because I am a person who takes in a lot of information. So in the beginning, I was like, I'm not sure what to do. Like, I'm sure you have seen this too. Like, oh, I have created all of this and you shouldn't need to use ad. And this other person, I created this big business because I used ad. And and you need to do one-on-one. You need to do group coaching. You need to do this. You need to do that. And in the end, I was just sitting there. I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. But guess what? All of them can work. You just need to really listen to your own intuition of
Mm-hmm.
what type of life you want to live, what type of business you want to lead. Find people who aligns up with that, and the rest is noise.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they are wrong.
Absolutely.
Not that they are wrong. I'm not saying that, but they want to run a business a different way than you, and then you probably shouldn't be working with them, or
Mm-hmm.
support for you.
Yeah. And there are so many different ways to create success, and there's so many different paths you can take. And it is about getting clear on what you want to create and the life you want to create with it. And yes, that will take some trial and error. You might try a group and be like, "Ooh, that's not the way I wanted to run this." Or you might try marketing in a certain way and be like, "Ooh, that doesn't really align with me. Let me try another way." And that's okay as long as you're out there taking action, you're trying things, but with the intention of narrowing things down. Because I made the same mistake in my very first business. I was trying to do all the things because you
Mm-hmm.
see all the people you need, all your social media channels, you need your email list, you need to be doing videos, you need to be doing static posts, maybe you need a blog, you need blah, 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 blah. So you try and do all of these things and it's incredibly overwhelming. And then you're taking one step in 10 different directions, where you need to take 10 steps in one direction and go deeper with less. And you will see success so much faster than trying to do so many different things. And I think that's hard, especially when you love learning, like me and you do. You love learning and seeing all the different ways that you can do things, and like opportunities are absolutely endless. And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs need to challenge themselves to see, how can I actually simplify to make things more efficient and more effective, honestly? Because I noticed when I did significantly less, I got better results. But it was about putting my blinders on and trusting myself that, like, hey, even though this person says this works, I can make this way work because it works better with my life. It works better with my personality. It doesn't feel like an uphill battle for me every single day. So I'm going to go this direction. I respect what they do. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Good for them. I'm going my own way. So that is a great point to make. Now, how can people reach out to you to connect with you and possibly get your support?
Oh, yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Zandra Bonnick. And yeah, that is probably the best way to connect with me right now. It's like you said, I actually tried to start on a website and I did get overwhelmed, so it's coming. But right now, I was doing the same. I'm like, actually, I'm busy serving my clients right now. This is what I need to focus on. So yeah, reach out to me there. I am actually right now. I just opened it up today because I got like I've seen so many people doing what we said, like struggling. What should I invest? What should I do? I'm right now actually opening up some intensives if you want to talk through how to finish this year or what you should invest, because I know Black Friday is coming out. So that would be a great way to start working with me, or otherwise we can always chat, see if I'm a right fit for you. And I also know a lot of other wonderful entrepreneurs if I'm not the one.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All of her information is in the description below. So click it, send her a message, connect with her. She is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you very much, Leslie. I really, for having me today has been fun.